I actually did an opening yesterday driving around, but... Oh, hi. But I wanted to... get your feet down, you turkey. But just felt a little chipper today. You know, it's a beautiful day here in Ohio. We're actually on our way to a wedding, which makes it even better. Bo Brown and Tisha Symes are getting married in Delaware, so people from Ontario are coming over, and we're going down to the wedding also. I've known Bo Brown a little bit over the last few years. You know, he's a kid that met Tisha. How long do you live in Ontario for? A couple of years? Lived in Ontario for a couple of years, and then they came back over, and they're now stabled in Delaware at the Delaware County Fairgrounds and getting married today. Now, Tisha, on the other hand, I don't know that well. I've known her off and on for a decade, I guess, in racing in Ontario, but I knew her dad for a long time, and long ago, it seems, I was stabled not that far from Chucky Symes in St. John. I was working as a caretaker in the winter in St. John. I bet you I was... Yeah, they're nice. When I was 16 or 17, before I ever went anywhere, I was in St. John for a winter, and it was tough, you know. I learned about vodka and oranges and how they hurt your head real quick. Now, I must have been older than that.
I was going to say,
the drinking
did you
age.
Go to school
the drinking age.
16?
No, it was when I had just finished, and I was just kind of trying to figure out what I was going to do. I went to Windsor right away, so I don't know how it worked out, but I was in St. John for maybe 2 months with Lenny Myers, Darren Trainer, Blaine McKenna, I think, was over there at the time, and I got to know the guys in St. John a little good, and Chucky was over there too, and it was such a different time. I think we're all, you know, for those of you who are a little bit older right now, you look back and just think it must have been somebody else's childhood, right? It was so long ago, and I remember it like it was yesterday. I had big time in Dusty Lake time over there. It was just a long time ago, and it's nice to see, it's nice to see that Chucky's family has made it well, and Tisha's been, done very, very well in horse racing, and Bo is a super nice guy. Obviously, his father, Brian Brown, has done very well in horse racing too, and I wish Bo all the best, Bo and Tisha, in the future. Now, aside from Bo and Tisha, we have had a good week ourselves this week. Anytime you can win the Open Trot, 51-3, Spitfire Overseas has really turned into a nice horse. You know, I had a great conversation with one of our clients who was so excited that Spitfire was racing good. But I remember back when he wasn't racing as good, he made a few breaks, and that particular client was questioning whether he should stay in Southern Ohio. And sometimes I make the wrong decisions. I talk about them quite openly. I'm human. I make mistakes, but sometimes we make the right decision too. And it's a great feeling to know that our patience paid off. And definitely the patience in regards to Spitfire Overseas has paid off. Stacy and Brett have done a great job with this horse. And the horse himself, here's a horse that has not had a break. The only break he's had in the last year is when he had that issue with his heart, right? He AFib last summer. Hasn't done that since we took him back off Lasix. He's been great ever since. And has never had a rest. And I keep thinking to myself, every time he throws in a mild clunker, you say to yourself, maybe he needs some time off. Right? He had that, remember he pulled up a little bit sore 3 weeks ago, and his foot was sore and his knee was bugging him a little bit. And I'm like, I don't want to push him too far. Maybe it's time to give him a rest. We changed his shoes and he was at wins in 51. That is an incredible animal. That is no two ways about that. Just a great, great horse. Now, I was going to say not to be outdone by. Nobody outdid Spitfire's performance this week, but had a couple of horses that look great. Megan has done a great job with Pickpocket. Tim did a great job with him leading up to that. Somebody said, well, he's better now that he was in Megan's barn. I said, not really. This is a process. And to take nothing away from Megan, Megan does a great job. This is why we have horses with Megan and Scotty. Super professional people and take their job very seriously. But Pickpocket did not have the greatest training camp, so to speak. Training him back, getting him ready. He just wasn't perfect. And then he got a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. And you can tell now that we got his hobbles out quite a bit longer. He's just a much better horse now. And I hope that this is a staging point for the rest of his season because, we think very highly of this horse. And before his race the other night, I was questioning whether he would just come back to Pennsylvania or go to Ontario for the good times. Now, if they write a consolation next week, he could race again in the Meadowlands, and if they don't, then he'll likely just head to Ontario for the good times. Now, Megan is also going to good times. This is what Scotty was planning on doing for the open house, right? I talked to him the other day. He said he was going to race Tactical Mounds and likely, I think, Pickpockets next week. Tactical Mounds on June the 1st. So they were going to drive, they were going to drive from New Jersey with Tactical Mounds and Pickpocket to Ontario. He was going to race her on June the 1st. Then he was going to rent a car, and he was going to drive to Ohio in the morning early for the open house, and then he was going to drive back to New York in that rental car from Ohio. I said, well, Scott, it's cool, but I might go over and pick up Scotty and Dominic over in Ontario, and they can just go back with Linda and Kelly or whoever. There'll be a lot of people going back to Ontario. So I might slide over Saturday, depending on what I'm doing, and grab Scotty at Mohawk and Dominic, who wanted to come over also. And if Danny wants to come over also, then he's welcome to. And we'll just scoot back here Saturday night. That would be my plan. But I just... It's... you know me. I'm the type of person... if anybody called and said, hey, I'm 30 miles from your house and I broke down the side of the road, I'd go and pick them up, right? That's just who I am. But it's nice to run into other people like that. Scott could easily just say, Anthony, I'm in Mohawk on Saturday night. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it over, Sunday. And for him to do that it means a lot, especially Mark McKelvey, all those guys, Jimmy, anybody that's coming over, whether to witness it, be a part of it, or just enjoy watching it, I truly appreciate it. It means a lot to us, and I hope we have a great day on Sunday. So Pickpocket raced great, winning in 53-3, 27-4. Didn't even pull the earplugs, zipped through late, and I was nice to see, because truthfully speaking, in his qualifier, he didn't run down the leader. In his first race, he didn't run down the leaders. He was in a spot to attack, and he didn't. Right? When Mark drove him, he kind of just coasted up to be third. He didn't run anybody down. His next start, he was just present but didn't run anybody down. For him to zip through and then charge through and not just hold off and pass, but then start to trot away from the horse on the outside of him was a great mile for him.
He's racing against Carl.
No, I know, but the other horse, take nothing away from the horse.
I'm not taking anything away from the horse. I'm just saying it wasn't.
You weren't listening to the broadcast the other night. Dave Little was talking, and we talk about racing younger horses against age horses and how tough it is. Dave Little, professional handicapper, and Jessica Otten were there, and Dave said Jessica was talking about how she watched their video and heard that the hobbles were tight and you're putting a double-ended snap. She's saying this on the broadcast, about how she was watching our video and heard what we were doing. And Dave Little said, well, it's weird that you say that, because when I look at young horses racing against age horses, it's almost an automatic pitch for me. Just 3-year-olds do not bode well. Is this our exit? It's 3. Yeah. Young horses do not bode well against age horses very often. And for him, as a professional gambler, it was almost an automatic pitch. But after hearing the circumstances leading up to the race, he was more open to looking at Pickpocket. Well, that's the truth. When you're looking at racehorses against, inexperienced sophomores, it's a tough thing for them to do. So for him to beat those horses, yes, it wasn't Carl. You're right. But it's no cakewalk either. That was a tough enough crew for Pickpocket. And I was impressed, one, with the way Scotty drove him, and two, the way the horse raced. Now it gives us hope again that he is going to be... When you talk about Carl, no one's beating Carl unless Carl beats himself. From what I can see anyway, early in the year, he does look like the hype is equal to the horse. He looks incredibly good. And you can't have a horse and say, this is how I'm going to beat Carl tonight. No, Carl's going to beat himself, I think. We're not beating Carl tonight. Which one is the next? Is it this one? This light? Yeah, 71 North, you're right. So, just really, really impressed with Pickpocket, and I'd love to see him build from that. Hearing Scott say I didn't pull the earplugs and he was still a little choppy, he's going to get better.
He looked
Oh, he looked better.
Better.
The horse was better because his hobbles have gone out about 7
well,
holes.
you could see the loop, the slack.
And you could never race
Jason
him like
was
that.
the one that showed me how slack the hobbles were at once. Compared
But
to
people forget too. This is the same horse that qualified without hobbles on in 58, 27, and 4 as a 2-year-old at Northfield Park, right? So it's not like he can't race without hobbles. He just needed them before. I don't think he needs them as much now, and maybe we'll get to a point where he doesn't wear them anymore. But super happy with what I saw the other day. Tactical Mounds talking about Scotty and Megan. Scotty said, I can't believe how well she gets around a half. And I said, well, I was surprised too until I qualified her at Northfield. And at that point, I was certain she gets around a half very well. If you want to have the most useful horse in horse racing right now, with the money they go for at Yonkers, a really good trotting filly or mare that can get around a half is almost gold in horse racing right now. You would not want to have a horse better than, you couldn't want to have a horse better than Tactical Mounds right now. And for her to do that the other night was very impressive. Really, really impressed with her. Now, take a step down a little bit. Ready for Landing and a couple of horses that raced good last week. You know, I told everybody Ready for Landing, and I don't like to, I don't want to put more pressure on myself or on the horse, obviously, in any week-to-week competition. But when I looked at his competition from last week, to me it just seemed like if he trotted, he'd win. And he did trot. He did his work well. Still like to work on him at the gate, you know. And it's not that we can't put him on the gate, but he gets a little warm at the gate, and then coming off the car, he gets anxious and nervous, and that's when you start to get him angry. And you start to see breaks happen. And we just don't want to see that. So when it comes to Ready for Landing, really happy with what I saw. Now I had to be a little rough with him coming to the half, but he allowed me to see-saw him. And the difference was, when you pull on him and shut his air off, he's ineffective on the end of the mile. You've seen that twice in a row now at Mohawk. But when we see-sawed him, I won a second quarter at 30-2, 58-1, and then just like that, 28 seconds down the backstretch, and an easy kind of winner in 55. A very, very good mile from Ready for Landing. And off 2 weeks, right? I trained him at Northfield Park. Lauren trained him. I trained him. So he was off the better part of 2 weeks. Coming into a race now next week, drew the 8-hole, but the 8-hole is not a bad spot. The 8-hole is a staggered gate at the Meadows. For a horse like him, not a horrible spot to be. So I'm interested to see how he's going to do. The only problem with the 8-hole is now you're closer to the gate and he wears an open bridle. I don't want him. I come in behind everybody because I didn't want him. It's not that hesitation when they look at the gate and they kind of drift towards it. That hesitation will throw them off kilter, and they will make breaks. You'll see horses make breaks from the 9-hole all the time at the Meadows. It's because that gate is right there. It's just before you go to pick up speed coming out of the turn. There's the draw gate. And if the horse loses its concentration for a minute, looks to the right, you're going to make a break. It's going to be off the gate. It's not going to get away well. And it's a problem. Now, I don't dare want to put a closed bridle on him, but I do want to make sure that he has his attention on the starting gate in the race and not that gate as he goes around the turn. Another horse that raced great last week in such a different way was Purple People Eater. You had said to me it was a lot like the race of Stay Special, but it was also a lot like the race of the other trot filly, Globe Sister, the one that Coop when she circled him in the mud. A great mile from her, and so impressed. She's been flat on the end of the mile now. We did open her up. Jason put the Aviator on her. I said maybe the Open. He said, I'm just worried about the Open with her. Why don't we start with the Aviator? The Aviator is a closed bridle, but the blinds are see-through.
I didn't know he still had one of those bridles.
They don't make them anymore. I'm actually going to look to see if somebody can make them. It's not.
I love those.
Yeah, it's not rocket science. It's just like
it's like wearing sunglasses.
Yeah, it's like plexiglass, smoked plexiglass. Yeah. So I guess plexiglass would be too heavy. Maybe. I'm not sure. But they don't make them anymore. And we have one. Sunny wears it. Irresistible Sun. So we put it on Purple People Eater the other night, and she was awesome. Raced great. Circled the field and was just so good. I was surprised when she was falling off the gate. Usually she's really hot at the gate, but she was kind of falling off the gate a bit, and I'm like, maybe she's no good tonight, but either way, I'm not leaving with her. So I kind of wrestled her away 6th, and she just sat there and just kind of chilled out. And then when I called on her starting into the backstretch, I could see the front end was faltering. If she was any good, she was going to run them down. But I could see them faltering. As soon as she went by that first horse, it's almost like, you go back and watch the video, you can almost see her flip a switch, and she just drives straight forward. She sustained that move from halfway down the backstretch till halfway down the lane, she just coasted through the wire. But she looked really, really good. I was really impressed with her. Big white house. Finding my way.
I'm gonna do this in the next 2 minutes.
No, you can win and grab the shirts. We're going to Home Hardware after that. What's that?
You don't need to go inside.
If you don't mind grabbing those shirts, I don't have to. I'm Fancy Like was great also, mile 54 and 2. Now last night had the 8-hole, got away 5th, ended up 5th, but they went in 53 and 3. It's a tough crew, you know. You see that salty middle of the order in Ohio, or even the overnight horses. There's no gimmies in there. Now, what did she do with the 2-hole and 2-hole trip? Who knows? I didn't think she raced bad. Thought she raced pretty well. Born to Dance, very similar. Winner in 55. And he's such a different horse with that chain in his mouth. No, he didn't look at anything the other day. No, I don't think I'd like to roll him through a farm track where there's new shadows and stuff. Anything like that.
Is
But
he still wearing the screen?
oh yeah, he doesn't miss anything. You can tell too. There was like tire tracks and stuff on the track. If you have his head too low and you score him down, he sees it. You can tell. Like just the feel in the lines. You can tell he's looking. And he just, is he going to focus completely on the race someday? I don't know, but he's doing enough right now. He's back in that class this week. Tuesday, I was going to go to Ontario, but it looks like Amy might go to Ontario now. If she does, we got to finish setting up the house, and then I'll scoot back and race Born to Dancing late on Tuesday evening. But I'm very happy. Out of the 8-hole, for him it doesn't really matter. He can race from off the pace. You don't have to blast him out of there. Just in those classes, you don't get stuck behind a bunch of deadwood. So even if you leave over and get away 3rd, 4th, 5th and end up first in with him, I think you'll be fine with Born to Dance in that regard. Looks like money. A great second flying on the end of it. I can't wait to see him race next Monday also. He looked very good. Yo Mister looked great the week before.
Did we go too far?
Did we go too far?
I don't recognize any of this.
No, because even if we go past the house, we didn't go by the horse farm, and even if we go past the house, we would recognize where we were before. Just look on your phone.
No, we don't go through the lake.
Well, look on your phone. Look on your phone. Maybe I did go too far. I don't think so.
Yeah, you did. We don't go through 35.
Oh, maybe I did. Maybe I went too far. Really happy with the way it looks like money has looked. I think you're right now that I say it.
Can you turn around?
It does say turn around?
No, I'm telling you
check
to turn
on your maps. My God.
You drove it 3 times yesterday. I think I know.
So, on your maps. I know you gotta look at your iPhone. Just if you can find maps on your iPhone, that'd be great. I think you're right. I don't recognize any of this. No, I would have known that house. I don't see it. But look on your maps.
Thanks for trusting me.
So, looks like money was very good. Very happy to see him. Prince Charmer, I thought raced great. Kind of snuck through in the last turn. Kind of snuck through. The young fellow in front of me was backing up, then made a break and hit it. Kind of squeezed down to the inside. And Prince Charmer shot through. I thought he raced really, really well. Happy with him. First also eligible this week. I hate that, but it is what it is. And then Mel Gibson continues to slowly creep forward. Good mile the other day, 57 and 2, and I think he'll even be better next week. As we talk about Mel Gibson, you talk about Indiana. Mounds for All makes his first debut Monday in a Sire Stake race, so tomorrow he'll be racing. And Widespread Panic break the other day. It was unfortunate. I talked about it at length in one of my other videos. I think it was just a hiccup and not a big deal, and we'll move forward with him. But my obvious question that... Okay, are we good? How far are we?
900 meters.
How did I miss that? 900 meters. These are nice too. Like, that must be the back end of the area. Right there, do you think? Oh, maybe, yeah. So Widespread Panic, the obvious question would be, well, when's he get to go to Indiana? He's close. He's close. Just, I'd rather not send him there with those mental deficiencies that he has. You know, the inability to back him into a hole is a problem. Getting a little warm, and we just get a little consistency into this guy. I think the speed is definitely there, and we'll be able to get him down there. Now, today, in 1 hour, I cannot, that sounds more. I cannot wait to see Arson in Time Is On My Side race today. Time Is On My Side is driven by some guy named Dexter.
I was going to say, who's driving him?
Dexter Dunn is driving Time Is On My Side, and Tim Tetrick is driving Urson. Both of them are coming in good. They're both fringe players. Urson, I would normally say, should be a layover in the back in the stallion, but that's no joke in there. Scotty picked off him to drive one. I'm not familiar with those horses, but man, some killers in those divisions. That's a tough division of pacers. And then tomorrow, we really don't care. And actually, Mark was not going to stay to drive Really Don't Care, but he messaged me and said the horse he was supposed to drive in Yonkers. He's driving all the way back to Yonkers, so he's trying to juggle 2 tracks, like 4 hours apart. And
that's hard if they don't go on time.
Yeah, so he said the horse he was supposed to drive in the open pace is scratched at Yonkers, so he's going to stay and drive Really Don't Care, which is good because I'd like to have him set the hobbles. We sent a bike, we sent hobbles, so once Jared has all the equipment set up, all should be well. So what are we going to do with that plant? That potted plant keeps falling over in the wind. It's trying to commit suicide by the looks of it.
The wind is going.
The wind just blows it over at the house.
Open the garage. I can go through the garage.
Oh, it worked. Cool. Go fix the plant then, Ava. Oh, you guys can't see this. Not really. That's the house that we've rented. We're moving in as we speak. Where was I at here? Really Don't Care, and Allie, turn that down. Really, is there another kid in here playing a game that's loud? No? Okay. Really Don't Care, and Blanton's Blue are racing in Vernon Downs. Very, very happy with both those horses and the way they've been. Hey, I gotta tell you one more time, I'm taking it.
Me? That's not me.
That's not you, is it? That sound that I hear is not you. Oh, I apologize. I hate being wrong. Really Don't Care. Second and 56 her last start, and has looked good. Should fit well, I think. Shouldn't she in the Excelsior Series? I believe she will. And then Blanton's Blue. Honestly, I've trained Blanton's Blue 50 times in my life. Best training trip of his life was last week. He trained great. He's not a good trainer by himself, but trained exceptionally well by himself the other day. So he'll be tight enough. I trained him in 2 minutes last half in 58, maybe 6 days ago. I'm sure Jared blew him out a little bit. He'll be ready to go on Monday in Vernon Downs. And then we don't talk about Bruno and the trip he got the other night. But Jay, what are you going to do? I'm not going to complain because I would have done the same thing. Jay thinks he fits in that class and he likes driving him, which is good. Bruno's going to forego he probably could have snuck his way into the final of that series, I guess, even with the 6th or 7th. There's no point in doing that. We're going to give him 12 days to the next maiden at Mohawk and go from there. There's no rush to do anything with those trotters. Just get them racing in a comfortable, consistent way. And that's exactly what we're trying to do. I like Bruno, and I do like Bruno, and I definitely like George. Memory and Imagination will make his next start of the year. His first Sire Stake race will be this Friday, I believe. Victory Blue Chip will also be there to race this Friday in his Stallion Series race. And then continuing on with the 3-year-olds, we have Gypsy Hill coming off a lifetime mark and a huge performance, 56-3 over Scioto. He's got the rail in the final now. Dan Noble's horse has got the 5 or 6 hole. The trailing post is where the actual horse to beat is. Probably one of the No Nap Nash is probably the best horse in the race. He's a very fast horse, but with a trailing post and coming in off a break at the gate, I like my chances. And then of course poor Sonny draws the far outside every single week, and that's where he's going to be this week again. So happy with those. Be nice to get the race made up for JK Victory. That was a weird thing. The races were canceled in the middle of the card. Some sort of technical difficulty. They'll make that race up soon enough. Next week he'll draw in. And then, of course, the open house. I keep talking about the open house. I started my video with the open house, and I'll end my video with the open house. I hope that anybody out there that has not RSVP'd, you're going to have to reach out to Kelly. I don't know if that's still open. I hope it is. I'd love to see everybody there. It should be a nice day. They're still calling for a beautiful day here in Ohio next Sunday, and it should be a lot of fun. 29 babies as of right now will be going behind the gate. I talk about them in depth, both in the 2-year-old section and in my top 10 list that I made. Now, the reason I made it, not Amy and anybody else, is because I sat in the race bike. Somebody said, well, how'd the sets go this week? There were no sets. I trained every single baby by themselves in the race bike this week to get a feel of where they sit, how strong they are, how deep they are, if they have any issues we have to work with, and where their strengths lie. And I was very, very happy with what I saw from every single horse. Now, they all weren't the same. You can't even say, oh, they were all excellent. No. I can tell you, 1 through 29, how they were and how they fit and where they sit. But at the same token, everything changes again when they get behind the starting gate. So as close as you're going to find the top 10 list, I came a half in 59 with plenty of the trotters and almost every pacer. So I got a real, real good look under the hood, so to speak, when it comes to our horses. So with that, I'm going to let you go. I hope you guys are having and had a wonderful weekend.
Bees, right?
It is, yep, perfect. It is a beautiful day here, and as I said, congratulations to Tisha and Bo getting married. It's really nice to see, just to take time, and I'm not a wedding guy, but every so often it's nice, especially when it's all horse people. It's nice just to relax and celebrate something like this. So congratulations to them. I will talk to you all very soon. As I said, have a wonderful weekend.
Have a good day.